When we were out there last week, definitely have some numbers to work with at your position. That's got to be a really good thing. What's the competition been like, and how are you able to maximize those numbers?
The competition's been really good. That's kind of the thing that you'd like to have at every position, to where you got guys that you feel very confident putting in the game, and I've got a number of guys that I feel that way about, and the thing that they've all positioned themselves to to compete and to be in a position to play, just with the things that they did in the off-season program. They're changing their bodies from the end of the regular season to when we started spring ball has been pretty remarkable. What the strength staff has done with those guys, with my guys, and really all the guys, but seeing what they've done with my group has been really impressive. So, like you said, competition is the key word. We don't want any guys getting complacent, feeling like they've, got a spot locked down. We want competition every day, and that's what we're getting.
Next week, Antoine Staley from Tallahassee Democrat.
Yeah, Coach, just talk about Cam McDonald for a little bit, and just the progression that you've seen from him, and also what do you think his ceiling potentially might be?
I think getting a chance to be a full-time starter last year was huge. I think there's only so much football you can learn in practice. Obviously, practice is critical, but there's a point where you have to go in the game and you have to be out there and feel. And Cam had played obviously before last year, played some, but only in spots. So I saw a lot of growth in him as a route runner, as a blocker, all the things that you look for. And then, he's one of those guys, like after the season, he went from low 230s to low 240s. He's playing in the 242 range, 243. So with that brings a lot more physicality to the run game. And not only the run game, just route running. He's a matchup problem at times because he's so big and he's got length and he's put on the extra mass. When guys get stronger, they change direction better. They get out of breaks better, and he's showing all those things in the first 4 practices. And I think the sky's the limit for him. There's still things that in the inline part of blocking that he's still learning, because he just hadn't done a lot of that. But we've made a huge emphasis, in spring ball, the early part of spring ball, on just the physicality. We want to be able to line up in any formation, run the football effectively. And you got to have tight ends that can do that, and he's really stepped up. I think he continues to develop as a route runner, continue to develop as an inline blocker, and all the things that he's got to do. The sky's the limit for him.
Next will be Pat Burnham from the Osceola.
Hey, Coach, hope you're doing well. Coach Norvell has mentioned Jackson West a couple times, obviously an early enrollee. How's he adapting to the speed and physicality of the college game compared to high school?
He's adapting really well. He's he's not a guy that you have to push into being physical or he's the first couple of pad practices, he was a guy that immediately, and we saw this on film in high school, he takes the fight to the other guy. He's not a guy that waits around, and whether he's attached or whether he's on the perimeter, whether he's in the backfield, he's always moving downhill. He's playing physical. He put on, 10, 12 pounds from the time he got here in early January till spring ball, which probably is a little too much for a freshman to gain that much that quick. But, he's a very determined guy. He wants to make an impact early. And, he's shown a really, really good deal of physicality early in spring ball.
Next will be Brennan Simone from Knowles 247.
Hey, Chris, you mentioned Cam and what last year was for him in terms of getting that experience, but along with Cam, Wyatt had 6 years at Pettit for the first time ever. Preston Daniels, a true freshman, playing a lot. For all 3 of those guys to get that experience last year, I guess how have you seen that translate over to familiarity with what they need to do so far in spring?
Yeah, it's been huge. I mean, just to come back, after a year and have the same system in place, the terminology, we ask a lot of those guys in terms of where they line up and what they're doing. And with that, there's a lot of things that, from a technique standpoint, that they have to perfect. So, they having that year under their belt, having to having gone out and played in ball games, like you said, and feel the, there's times where you, like I said, you just have to go out in the game and feel the things that happen to you, and what all those guys did that you just mentioned. Why it's in the low 240s, between 240, 245. Cam's the same, 240, 245 fluctuates. Preston's up over 250. Jordan Wilson, who didn't play last year, is up over 260 right now. We want to be a group that can function well in the passing game, but also, bring physicality to the run game. And so they've been able to do that with the, just continuing to transform their bodies. But like you said, having the experience is huge. Having a comfort level with the system is you can see the difference. They're all just a lot more comfortable having the year under their belt.
We'll go back to Ira.
Back when you guys were recruiting for this freshman class, one of the things you said you were concerned about was not being able to evaluate all these guys and see them practice or play in person just to see the physicality. So with that in mind, was there any doubt about Jackson until he actually got here and put on pads? And how happy were you with yourself?
There really wasn't too much with him, just because he's one of the few guys that on high school tape you could see him. I mean, there was a different level of aggression, a different level of just going after people and trying to finish. The one thing that you'd never know is, those defensive ends he's going against in high school for the most part are maybe, a 220 guy, maybe a 230 guy at the most. And now you come to the college level as a freshman, and these guys are a lot bigger, a lot stronger, more powerful people. But, typically it translates over and everything's fine. And everything I've seen from him so far, there's no backing down. It doesn't matter who, we put in front of him. He's playing physical and being the aggressor. And, people aren't going backwards quite as much as they did in high school with him, because you got guys, like I said, that are big and that push back. But he's learning, and so far everything I've seen from him, I'm real pleased with.
Next will be Aslan Hajavandi.
Coach, you never got a second week of spring last year, so I really don't know what kind of barometer I'm going to try to have you use here, but you guys set your standard and set the tempo for what you wanted this team to look like in January of last year. You preached the message, but how different is it 1 year later? They have a true understanding, I would feel, for how you guys want to run in practice and how things have to be. Have you seen that, or kind of felt an urgency or more clarity from the team overall, just in terms of what's trying to be accomplished?
Yeah, even though we missed spring ball, you still got obviously a lot of time with them in the fall, and so definitely think that the guys have a clear understanding of how we want to practice, the tempo, that we want to work at, both sides of the ball. We just want a culture of competitiveness and physicality, and through the first couple of padded practices, that's what I've seen. I've noticed, the guys are willing and want to bring that, and they understand. And we talk to them a lot about, when we walk out of the tunnel in that first ball game, we want to be a team that we know we've invested the work in being physical. We know we've invested the things that we need to do in practice and to come together as a team. And so I definitely feel that. I think we're still definitely evolving in that process. Spring ball is a great way to do that, because it's hard. There's no games to get ready for, and they have to push through things that aren't easy. But you get spring, and then you go transition into summer, and then you're where you want to be when training camp comes.
All right, we'll go back to Pat Burnham.
Hey, Coach, one guy that's hard to miss when you watch the tight end group is Marquis Douglas. Can you talk a little bit about his development, what you've seen out of him in the first 4 days of spring practice, and of course, all-season conditions? Yeah,
he just, you talk about a big man, really big, long guy that is really athletic. And, Mark Easton is a really smart guy as well, so he's picked things up quickly. And I've been pleased with him. I'm trying to kind of work him in with all the other guys, so he hasn't gotten a ton of reps, but but what I've seen from him so far, you know, inline blocking, a big physical guy, and then he maneuvers in the pass game a little bit better than you would think just looking at his size. So I think he's another guy, you know, we're very excited about that has a high ceiling.